Who is the biggest troll in history? The guy who opened a fake #1 restaurant in London using Google reviews in his back garden and shed with microwave meals. April Fool's Day 1974, when a man burned 70 rubber tires on a dormant volcano in Alaska. This has to be up there. He waited 3 years to get a helicopter to fly the tires to the top to get a picture-perfect condition. He even got the Coast Guard called out too. Here's the link to the story. Don't type it. Find the link in the description. In the 30s to 40s, BBC did an April Fool's broadcast where they told people how spaghetti was made. On trees. They literally showed fake spaghetti trees, and since not many people in that time knew how spaghetti was made, lots of people believed it. Technically this isn't a troll since it was serving a purpose, but Admiral Nelson was escaping a French fleet when a man fell overboard. It was Nelson's policy of never leaving anyone behind, so he turned his ship around to go pick him up. The French saw his ship turn back toward them, assumed he had reinforcements coming beyond the horizon, so they turned and ran. Didn't George R.R. Martin once say that in the future he would love to get people so immersed in a fantasy world novel and never finish it? Eric the Red. He wanted people to come and live in his newfound ice-covered land, so he named it Greenland. This Chinese general, whose city was besieged by a much larger army, so he opened the main gate and sat atop it playing his flute. The enemy thought it was a trap, so they packed their stuff and left. Gregor MacGregor. He was a Scotsman who claimed to own land in the New World. He got fake maps printed, fake pictures drawn, then published it all in a big convincing book. He then got over 200 people to emigrate to this paradise and, get this, drop them in the Central American jungle. Many died. Some returned and blamed the expedition guide for directing them to the wrong location, still believing Gregor's story. The more you read, the crazier it gets. Don't type it. Find the link in the description. Giles Corey. A farmer caught up in the Salem witch trials. He was sentenced to pressing, being slowly crushed by stones to force him to make a plea. Every time he was questioned, he simply said, "More weight." He died without making a plea. The dude who somehow got a network news program to say that a plane that crashed was piloted by 4 men with the names Hugh Lee Fuck, Sum Ting Wong, Wee Tu Lo, Bang Ding Ao. The guy who decided to put an ice troll 3/4 the way up the path to High Hrothgar. Hashtag Basil Zaharov, a Greek arms dealer. He once donated a submarine to the Greek government. He then told the Turks that the Greeks had a submarine and sold them 2 submarines. Lastly, he went to the Russians and told them the Turks had 2 submarines, so he sold them 2 as well. None of the submarines actually worked. Edit, donated to the Greeks, not sold. Theodore Roosevelt. He got shot, went on a 1-hour speech mocking his assassin, and then went to hospital. Michelangelo. Without a doubt, this man was hired to paint a chapel and put more ducks and asses on it than you ever did see. Whoever decided to delete Club Penguin. Orson Welles did a radio play that told people the Martians were invading. The next day he told everyone that his play had freaked out millions of people, when it was a few dozen at most. The prophet Elijah heckled the priests of Baal because their God would not set fire to their sacrifice. IRC, the Bible says the priests of Baal prayed all day while Elijah heckled them. Those guys that wrote Kilroy was here during WW2. Whoever told people to rush Area 51. Don't know if this has been said, but Stalin. He convicted his closest friends of treason, then had them sentenced to death. Later on, they were blindfolded and awaiting the firing squad's bullets. The squad fired blanks. Stalin pulled the blindfolds off and said, "Gotcha." Legend. France building a fake Paris in World War I to confuse German bomber pilots. The guy who faked cancer at our teenagers. George Salmanazar, a blonde-haired, blue-eyed Frenchman who pretended he a royal from the island of Formosa, now modern-day Taiwan. came up with his own fake religion, diet, and language with ducking syntax that he taught in universities across Europe. This was in the 17th century. Reddit user, Malleable Duck rickrolled Rick Astley here in Reddit. The employee at the Four Seasons landscape that took the reservation for the Trump campaign without asking questions. Clearly they knew it was a mistake, not like their company is a well-known place for presidential speeches. Herostratus. He burned the Temple of Artemis around 400 BC. Just for the lulz and the notoriety apparently. They killed him for it painfully, and enacted a law forbidding his name from ever being mentioned. Yet here we are more than 2,000 years later, and Herostratus and his stunt is not forgotten. I'm convinced that Joyce wrote Finnegan's Wake to troll all the literary scholars looking for deeper meaning in a giant heap of nonsense. Fucking Toad from the original Mario game. The little ducker kept telling me Princess Peach is in a different castle. Sylvia Knight performing for Iceland in Eurovision 2006. I swear legit no one apart from Iceland knew what the duck was going on and why she acted the way she did. Being a complete bitch during interviews and then her ridiculous song plus the stage presence. Sylvia Knight was an over-the-top character from a fake Icelandic reality TV show. So iconic. Steve Wilhite. He invented the GIF, then he won a Webby Award for it. Webby Award speeches are only allowed to be 5 words long. He went up and said, "It's pronounced GIF, not GIF." Jode himself could come down and tell me that, I wouldn't believe it. It's GIF. Forever. By Leonardo da Vinci. He made almost no actual contributions to science. Everything he discovered and documented in his journals could not be read as they were encoded and mirrored. Much of what he discovered had been rediscovered by the time the books were decoded. Whoever has been posting the Q drops for the past 4 years. Ken M. Whoever started the modern flat earth movement. Person facepalming. Whoever was responsible for the last season of God. When God told 100-year-old Abraham to go kill his only son, and then was like lol psych, right before he actually did it. Andy Kaufman deserves a nod for sure. If you've never seen the videos of him becoming a semi-pro wrestler just so he can taunt Southerners, go look that shit up. The person behind the Max Headroom incident, no one knows who did it 33 years later. Timothy Dexter. The guy was an idiot but somehow got rich by selling bed warmers to the Caribbean. D.B. Cooper. Rick Astley put the Rick roll as his channel intro. Basil Zaharoff was an arms dealer who managed to sell 5 submarines to 3 different countries. None of the submarines even worked. Whoever put the S in lisp. Leroy Jenkins. Andy Kaufman. That guy who created the machine that summoned rain in California and actually got the government to fund him. Wait, before you go, don't forget to like and subscribe, you sexy human.